Yeah, is a John Deere 155C, 155CA. It's got just a little issue with it. It's my buddy Tom's, and you see it's just a rolling chassis right now. It's got the motor on there. Looks like most of the wiring is still on there. The problem is that right there. You see in there, the frame is broken. Both sides, it's cracked on both sides. I'll probably get a better shot when it's in the garage and all, but I'm gonna attempt to fix that up for him. Not so much that he's gonna use it as a mower or anything anymore, because he got himself a new bigger, better John Deere with hydraulic deck and just power steering is freaking sweet. But he wants to use this as just kind of a run around, and so I'm going to try and make that happen. Before I pull it in, I'm going to just knock the munge off of it with my power washer and then get to it. Not sure how old this thing is. I'm pretty sure he's had it for at least 10 years. I've always liked it. You know, I really actually thought it was a really good tractor. He's got a lot of acreage though to cut with it. So, you know, that it lasted maybe a decade, maybe more. I'm not surprised it is a John Deere. But I've got it all cleaned up. Looks a little bit better, a little easier to see. I think the plan of attack is going to be get that rear off, kind of suspend the rear frame up, and see what we've got to cut out and replace. It should be pretty straightforward. Get a closer look at the actual failure point here. You can see right here that is part of the frame. It's supposed to be over there, but you know, it broke off. And it's a really kind of a funky shape here. You see how it kind of goes in a little bit here? That's because the way that they designed this is that the actual frame kind of bends backwards a little bit. It's not exactly straight off of the back of the frame. It kind of goes in a little bit. You see a little bit better on the other side where it's still kind of attached, but not really. I don't know. This has all got to get cut off. It's all mangled up in here and smashed in, and I'm just not surprised it's failed. It might, whoa. It might not actually be bent in on purpose. I'm just gonna have to cut this out and kind of go with it. But the reason that I say that it might actually be bent in on purpose is because these need to locate into the transaxle there, and I think that this is a little bit too wide to just to go straight down and out. So in order to do it, you can actually see how they did it on the other side there. They've got a relief cut in the back, in the frame itself, so that it can be bent out a little bit and line up the holes. You know, this side will be bent in a little bit, just so that they can line up the holes with the holes in the transaxle. Regardless, both of these mounts have to be cut out and redone. So let's get out the grinding wheel. All right, before I get all crazy with the grinding wheel on this frame, I came up with a plan of attack here. So I have these 2-inch angle iron. It's 1/8 inch thick steel. Then I'm going to use to repair the sides of this thing right here. Basically, it's going to go on somewhere in that vicinity. And the other thing that I'm going to do is I think before I cut anything off of the frame, I'm going to put a bottle jack in between these two frame rails here and see if I can push them out so that they're or not the frame rails, but these engine mount or the transaxle mount points, and see if I can just push it out straight, just so that they're level with, or flat, kind of like parallel or whatever with the rest of the back here. And then after I get that all kind of straightened out, then I'll cut out what is not usable, and then I'm gonna fit these in somehow, whether I have to trim them or whatever before I weld them up in there. But basically I'm gonna weld them on up in there so that the frame rides the same height as the front, but in the back. Because this was actually, I did some measurements before I, took all this stuff apart here and everything, but like this is sitting probably about a good like ½ inch lower than the front, and it's all because this is all just mangled in and mashed in. So I'm going to straighten this out first, then cut out what I don't need, and kind of figure out how I'm gonna cut these up before I put them in, and kind of locate them and everything like that, so that we get the proper height on them. So that's my plan of attack. Let's see how I execute on it. All right, they're not designed to be curved in. They just were curved in because they were beat to shit, basically. This is the side that was actually cracked, and I've got it straightened out all the way along there, just like that. And you can see right where it cracked along there. And this little thing right here is kind of like the tiniest of little gussets to kind of try and keep this flap that's coming out here that you're mounting the entire back of the tractor on from bending. And obviously that is not enough, John Deere. That is not enough. You need more gusset. More gusset. Oh, look at this side after I straightened it out. It's actually in much worse shape. It's all kind of bent to shit. This one didn't actually break off. It just bent and it was getting there. You can see it was cracked further up on this side here, cracked up the frame. So I'm going to cut off all the really bent up pieces and get it as straight, as flat as I can, and then start fitting the new pieces in there. And yeah. All right, I think I've got a final mock-up here. Check this out. I've got these cut and angled, and cut, basically clamped on, and in place of where they're gonna be. You can see I cut back all the bad metal, or basically everything that was off the bottom of these things. And the way I lined it up was that on the inside here, you can see that little tab right there that it's kind of following along the top there. That's actually part of the frame rail that sticks through this upper part here to kind of like locate it to locate this part, this side part onto the main like frame rail. And that's on both sides. So it's straight and parallel with the frame rail. So that makes sure that that these things are parallel with the frame, basically, both of them. And I've also, kind of bent these things in such a way to where these things are flat. They're 90 degrees. Let's see, I have a little mechanic square here, a little machinist square actually. I've got them just squared up to the frame here as well on both sides, and they're ready to tack in. I'm gonna tack them in and go from there. After I get them tacked in, I'll probably end up at least drilling one hole in here. I know where the holes are supposed to be located, like right here. I've got a mark on the other side actually. The rear hole needs to be kind of like right here, located on this thing, and I know how wide that is, so I'm gonna only go like a ½ inch in and then drill the hole here right below that, and then I'll do the same on the other side in the same kind of location based on this the frame rail itself, and go from there. I should be able to drill all the holes out and get it lined up and put in place here, and it should be in exactly the same spot. Now I've got it sitting on these jack stands 12 inches above the ground, which is exactly what that thing sits at. And just to kind of give a visual of like how level the frame is going to be, basically. So I'm happy with how it looks right now. Just clamped in place, so I got to just grind some of this paint off and get it ready to weld, tack it in. Would you look at that? Got the brackets mounted in there, and she's sitting on them, kind of in approximately where it wants to be. Approximately. I don't think it's exactly perfect yet. I want to try and get it as lined up as I can before I mount it in there, but we've got some guides in here to make it a little bit easier on us. This and this. So this one runs the forward and reverse, and then this is a clutch, or basically a clutch brake, basically, for it internally there. And so that's about where it's going to sit. I've just got it lowered down onto the transaxle right there. I'm going to get the exact placement of it, and then I'll drill, clamp it down where exactly where it needs to be. Make sure that the axle's nice and square to the frame and everything like that. And clamp it down, and then just drill out the holes for it, and let it go. You can see right here actually that the pulley is gonna be going right down on there too, and there's some spring loaded in here. It's spring loaded in here, so that should be fine. It's basically right where it was, and it might be a little bit lower or a little bit higher than it was before, but it actually looks like it came out pretty good. So yeah, I'm kind of happy with it so far. Just got to get it really kind of locked down and kind of pre-drilled, I guess, is what we'll say. And then I can do the full welds on those brackets, because they're not fully welded in there yet. They're just tacked in for right now. Actually, maybe I should weld them first and then do all that. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I think it came out okay. Check that shit out. We're bolted in. Both sides. Let's scooch back here a little bit. You can kind of see. Yeah, looks pretty good. Got the wheels straight as I could. Got them, kind of parallel on in there. Or perpendicular, however you want to call it. Got those brackets all welded in, all along the top, or yeah, the back and the side. I guess the inside and the outside. And I've got the linkages hooked up. Let me get this light off. It's a little bright in there. I've got the linkages hooked up. This basically dictated the location of it from front to back. This is that foot pedal right there. The brake, I guess, goes right here. And then the shifter is right there. That's full reverse, and that's full forward. Basically, that kind of dictates where it sits inside the frame there, from front to back. And then from side to side, I just kind of used some measurements, basically split it up as even as I could from that side to that side. And for alignment, I used, my eyeball. Let me see if I can set this in here real quick and show you what I mean. You can align the tires to the frame, basically. Looks okay. Look, I don't think it's perfect or anything like that. Also, with this, you can there's a little bit of wiggle room as far as how you bolt it up and how you bolt the axle to the transaxle to the frame. You can kind of shift it around a little bit if you need to. I know that it can go in there perfectly straight. I've got it tightened down right now I was just playing around with linkages, but I'm pretty happy with it so far. It looks pretty good. I think maybe just one more little modification and this one should be ready for paint. Gussets. Big old honking gussets. Just put some on the back. Clean those up a little bit. Slap some paint on it and call her done. And that's that. Should be ready for a few more years. I'm gonna paint it up, bolt it on, everything's back together. Looks pretty good to me. You know? Looks pretty good to me. Yep. So, just gotta load her up and bring her over to Tom's. There you go.